by Erez Sherman, along with Rabbi Nicole Guzik and Rabbi David Wolpe. We are the co-senior rabbis and Rabbi Emeritus of Sinai Temple. On behalf of our community, we want to welcome you this evening and thank Cal Fire for convening all of us here this evening. Our synagogue and our sister synagogues have been directly impacted by the wildfires, and as rabbis and faith leaders, we have witnessed devastation, but we also have witnessed hope in action.
Elie Wiesel, Holocaust survivor, teaches, one must wager on the future and sing the heroic acts of our firefighters, our police officers, our first responders, watching fellow Angelenos open up their homes and open up their hearts and experiencing the righteousness exhibited within this very community. Hope is personified. We continue to pray for the physical and emotional security of each person impacted by these fires. We pray for the return of each firefighter safely to their homes. And ultimately, we must continue to foster hope, which we know will lead to a future in which we can experience peace yet again.
According to the sages, the founder of our tradition, Abraham, saw the world like a palace that was doleket. Doleket in Hebrew can mean full of light or full of flame. That sometimes the world seems unbelievably beautiful and wondrous and miraculous, and sometimes it seems empty and devastating and painful. Both of those things have been true over these past several days, and all of us take it as our mission and our hope and our prayer that we turn the flames to light, the loss to hope, and our shattered community to a community as one, moving together into a common future.
Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us on this Thursday, January 16th, for the community meeting and press event for the Palisades fire. We have a lot of folks in attendance. Thank you guys so much for making it out here, and we have a lot of folks watching online as well. A quick reminder that we do these meetings every night virtually at 6:30, so going forward tomorrow, you'll be able to join us at 6:30 online. Some quick figures for this incident. The fire is currently at 23,713 acres. As of this evening, we're at 27% containment, and we have over 5,000 firefighters out here fighting this incident, 5,276 to be exact. The format of this program is going to go like this. We have our agency representatives. They're going to be talking about fire information. We're going to get an ops overview. We're going to hear from our incident meteorologist and then hear from our agency representatives to talk about their part in this wider firefight. We're then going to open it up to community question and answer. We want to hear your questions. We have cards in the back. Hopefully some folks wrote questions as they walked in. We'll also be taking questions from the online audience. So we'll gather all that, we'll deliver it to the most appropriate representative, and then we're going to move into our dignitaries, our elected officials, our folks who are representing us on the big stage, supporting us in this firefight, and then we're going to move into the media question and answer portion, where our media partners will have the ability to ask questions and get answers to some of the questions that they are hearing from the community. So a packed schedule. We're going to try to keep things moving. We want to value your time, and we want to hear from you, and we want to get those questions answered. I should mention that if you have a question that didn't get answered, we will be available afterwards. You can see We've brought a lot of people out here intentionally. We want to make sure that we're available for you, meeting out in the lobby and making sure that you've left with your questions answered. And if we don't have the answers to your questions, we're going to get them. So we'll go ahead and kick it off with our operations section chief. They're going to give an overview of the current fire conditions and the operational situation.
Good evening. My name is Christian Litz. I'm a battalion chief with LA County Fire, and I'm partnered with CAL Fire Team 2 as an operations section chief here on the Palisades Fire. Today, we used aircraft that used infrared technology that allows us to find isolated heat sources along the fire's perimeter and within the structures. That helps ground units pinpoint those locations and mitigate that and produce a farther secured line as we move deeper into the perimeter. So along the top half of the fire, along that fire's edge where it met the vegetation, resources are still working all along that line and securing it and improving it where they can, and utilizing that infrared technology to find those heat sources deeper into the perimeter to limit any possibility of any kind of escape along that line. Also, we have resources in the communities of Montanito, Fernwood, along the areas of Topanga Oaks, Sylvia Parks, along the top of Dirt Mulholland and into Mandeville Canyon. Those resources are getting within those structures, making sure that we don't have any fire damage within those structures. Still, again, looking for those isolated heat sources and mitigating those. Along the east side or the right side of the fire and along the coast, where the structures are more prominent, we still have resources, again, looking for those isolated heat sources, moving around the structures, concentrating into the structures that are still standing, and making sure there's no more additional damage or possibility of damage to those structures. Those communities that we're talking about from the right side of the map down along the PCH is Mandeville, Westridge, coming into the Pacific Palisades where it borders Santa Monica. And along the coastline, we have the Pacific Palisades, Temescal Canyon, Topanga Canyon, Big Rock, and the Malibu communities. Still maintaining a heavy presence in there and making sure that we take care of the public that we serve. Also along PCH and into the communities, we have the utility companies that are now working on the infrastructure and working on making the area safe again for when the time that the public can return home. We do have resources in the areas where we used heavy equipment along the ridge systems that they were able to cut and give us preparation for if there is any more fire growth. Now that things are being more and more secure, they are in there working on returning the land back to the specifications detailed out by forestry and resource advisors. Thank you.
Next up, our incident meteorologist.
All right, good evening, everybody. Rich Thompson, incident meteorologist with the National Weather Service, assigned to the Palisades incident. Last week when this fire broke out, the area was experiencing one of the strongest Santa Ana wind events that we've seen in recent memory. Those strong Santa Ana winds combined with very critically dry fuels led to a very extremely critical fire weather environment, and when the fire ignited, it spread very quickly and explosively. Now, since those first couple of days of the fire, we've been under a persistent Santa Ana wind pattern up till today. Finally today, that Santa Ana pattern broke, and now for today through the weekend, we're going back into a more normal mid-January sort of pattern. Got on those onshore sea breezes moving across fire, going to bring cooler temperatures to the area, higher humidities, and all that's going to be very good for the firefighting efforts. Unfortunately, as we go into the beginning of next week, beginning Sunday night and continuing through most of next week, those Santa Ana winds are going to be returning to the area. Right now, probably expecting weak to moderate Santa Anas sometime during next week, especially on Tuesday and Wednesday. And with those Santa Ana winds, it's going to be very, very dry out there, so there's going to be probably a return of more critical fire weather conditions to the area. So we have a little respite for the next couple of days through the weekend, but then the Santa Anas do come back beginning of next week.
We'll now move into our incident commanders and agency administrators. CAL FIRE.
Well, good evening. My name is Jim Hudson. I'm the incident commander of CAL FIRE Incident Management Team 2 and part of the Unified Command for this incident. Unified Command is a term that I think you're going to hear a few times tonight, and I think it's important that everybody understands the concept of that. Obviously, this is a very complex incident that touches multiple jurisdictions. All of the priorities and objectives, the decisions that are made are done collaboratively. Our unified command structure for this incident includes the Los Angeles County Fire Department, Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, Los Angeles City Fire Department, and LAPD. We are working collaboratively, and this is all hands on deck, and that has been part of some of the successes that we've had on this incident to date. When I say successes, I realize that this is a devastating incident, but we have made some gains. One of those gains that we've made is this fire has not grown in the last 72 hours. We've been able to keep it within its footprint. And most of the growth that we did see was prior to Saturday. That is a testament to the hard work of the firefighters that have been on the line, working around the clock, multiple shifts, and their dedication to all of you. So I think that's important that we recognize that. I'm not going to by no means underscore what is left ahead, but I want you to know that we are 100% committed to all the agencies that are represented. You heard the fire is 27% contained, and we get questions, what does contained mean? 27% contained of a 24,000 acre fire, almost 24,000 acre fire in 9.5 days is good progress. It might not sound like it, but it is. What containment means is we are 100% completely confident that that fire is not going to cross the line. What I spoke about in the containment we gained in stopping the forward progress, doing a Santa Ana wind event, was challenging, but we were able to do that. And with the weather changes, we do expect the containment to grow over the coming days. And we will keep you updated on that as well. On top of the firefight that we've been undertaking now for almost 10 days, other functions are taking place on this incident. Our damage inspection teams continue to work as fast as possible to provide you information on what may have occurred in your community or your property. We'll be continuing to update that regularly. Our watershed emergency response teams, which do analysis and modeling of burns or soils burn severity, which they analyze what is the potential or risk management for flooding or debris flows. They've been out there working tirelessly, and we expect that report to be completed as well. We're going to continue to reinforce the lines. We're going to continue to extinguish hot spots around structures. We're going to continue to make right-of-ways safe, and that is our priority right now. You heard that we're using infrared technology as well as boots on the ground. We're using everything at our disposal to get this thing completely cooled off, and we are committed to that. You heard we have 5,000 people still assigned to this incident, over 5,000. We have all the aircraft at our disposal available, including 40 firefighting helicopters that are assigned to this incident. I don't remember the last time I saw 40 firefighting helicopters on an incident, so you have the full breadth of our air assets that are available to us. You have firefighters across the state of California. You have firefighters from across the western United States. And you have firefighters and incident management team personnel from British Columbia, Mexico, and firefighters from Israel who arrived today. Obviously, these are unprecedented circumstances in January. Just for perspective, across the region, what we've seen. To date in California, there have been 164 vegetation fires between CAL FIRE and the U.S. Forest Service, totaling 40,695 acres. This date last year in 2024, there were 68 fires for 3 acres. So obviously, challenging conditions. We're continuing to be prepared for it. CAL FIRE has resources pre-positioned in Southern California, all over Southern California. We have resources staged to mobilize to any new fires in this area and assist us if necessary. So we'll be prepared for that. So we'll continue to provide you information. If you would like to go to the CAL FIRE page for updated information, simply go to fire.ca.gov, and that'll be the most information we have. Thank you.
Next up, Los Angeles City Fire Department.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kristen Crowley, and I stand before you as a humble public servant. I have the honor to wake up every single day and represent the 3,779 sworn in civilian members of the Los Angeles City Fire Department. It is an absolute honor to be standing here representing our people. I just want to take a brief moment with a couple statements, and I'll pass it off to our Assistant Chief Everett here, but I felt it was really important that I spend a little time sharing just a few stories with you. And when I talk about our LAFD firefighters, they're your LAFD firefighters. They work in your communities. They love you as our community members, and they wouldn't want to be anywhere else in the world. With that, we will remain steadfast and dedicated from day one, when that fire started, all the way through to the end. I promise you that, as your chief, that the LAFD will stand with you as you continue to clean up and rebuild your communities. I want to share with you, I had the opportunity to spend time with our firefighters that were first on scene. Fire Station 23 and 69 that serve the Palisades. And what I can tell you, same thing I told them, is to hold your heads up high. You served the communities that we love to the greatest capacity. And I want to make sure that you understand that our firefighters who were there that day and throughout the rest of this event, they feel your pain. They are going to continue to support you. And these are your LAFD firefighters, and that will never, ever change. So as we move forward, I can tell you, second by second, breath by breath, together, and I mean together, the LAFD is not going anywhere. We will continue to uplift you. We will continue to support you. We're not going to give up on you, and we stand by our Palisades community. We love you, and thank you.
Thank you, Chief Crowley, and thank you for your leadership during this. My name is Joe Everett. I'm the Assistant Chief for Operations West Bureau for the LAFD, and that area includes Hollywood, Bel Air, Brentwood, Palisades, all the way down to the ocean, and a little bit of the airport. I work under the command of the Deputy Chief of West Bureau, who's here tonight, who works directly under the command of Chief Crowley. Just a little bit more about me, and maybe it doesn't matter, but I think it does. I'm a third-generation firefighter, and my grandfather's first assignment in 1937 was Fire Station 69. And I'll just tell you a little bit more about that story. He loved the Palisades so much that he rented a house on Monument, small house. Then he found a piece of property on Bester, and he raised his family there. And that house burned down the other day. Anyways, my father later retired as a Captain 2 at a Fire Station 69. And my son's here today, and I distinctly remember him being in the captain's office with my dad while I was studying for captain, hanging out with my dad. Maybe, helped me get some opportunity to do a little bit of studying. So I became a battalion chief, and I go back to that area, Battalion 9, and I've served that area for 4 years. And then now I'm there serving it as assistant chief. And why might I tell you that is my blood runs deep there. Some of you know me, I've spoke to you tonight, and it's extremely, extremely hard for me to look you in the eye, knowing that, quite honestly, I feel like I failed you to some respect. Moving on, let's get into business. And I do appreciate your support. It really, really means a lot. I think we need each other. I just wanted to kind of placate on what some other people said. I know that we got unified command explained to you, but I just really want to dive deep into that. And I believe that Chief Crowley explained it well. We are in unified command. The Los Angeles City Fire Department is in command with my partners and my friends, the Los Angeles County Fire Department. And we're also in unified command with CAL FIRE, who we spoke to. And we brought them in because it's such a monumental event that we need help managing this. And that's kind of how it works. That being said, you will see a large, strong presence of LAFD fire engines and firefighters, the men and women of the LAFD, up in and around the Palisades area. So you're going to continue to see that. You're going to continue to see me. I'm not going anywhere other than continuing to run this incident. And on that note, I think we're on we're on day 10. I live in an evacuation order, so I haven't really been home. And I believe tonight I'm going to get to see my wife for the first time, so I'm looking forward to that. Anyways, I just want to express to you, my heartfelt feelings, they run deep, but I also wanted to express to you is that we are dedicated, and I personally am going to be there till the end. Thank you.
Los Angeles County Sheriff.
Good evening. My name is Andrew Cruz, and I am a captain with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, currently serving as the incident commander on the nighttime operations on the incident management team. I want to begin by expressing my deepest sympathies to those who have been impacted by the Palisades fire. Our thoughts and prayers are with those who have been displaced or who have suffered losses during this devastating fire. Please know that the Sheriff's Department is working around the clock to address the situation and provide the support you need during this challenging time. At present, we have over 125 Sheriff's Department personnel dedicated to the response efforts for the Palisades fire. In addition, we are receiving valuable assistance from the California National Guard, the California Highway Patrol, and search and rescue teams throughout the state. Together, we are conducting a range of critical missions, including looter suppression, road closures, humanitarian relief, and roving security patrols. I am pleased to report that no new evacuations have been carried out following yesterday's red flag warning. I will say the curfew for all mandatory evacuation zones remain in effect from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. This curfew is designed to ensure public safety, protect property, and to prevent looting. We ask everyone to comply with the curfew and refrain from entering the affected areas unless authorized. Unauthorized individuals will be subject to arrest. As of today, we've made 11 arrests related to the Palisades fire. Charges include looting, unauthorized entry into a disaster zone, weapons and narcotic offenses, and impersonating a firefighter. In collaboration with our partners from the Los Angeles County Fire Department's Urban Search and Rescue Team and other agencies, we are conducting ongoing search and rescue operations in the impacted areas. Our priority is to ensure the safety of these areas, locate missing persons, and clear hazards before allowing re-entry. It is with great sadness that I must report, as of this afternoon, we have confirmed 6 deaths within the Sheriff's Department's jurisdiction due to the Palisades fire. We understand the community's desire to return to their property. However, please know that your safety remains our top priority. Many areas are still actively being worked on by firefighting personnel, and search operations are ongoing. Additionally, significant road damage, debris, and hazardous conditions in some areas further complicate a safe re-entry. Rest assured, we are in constant communication with our unified partners to assess when repopulation will be feasible for everyone to be able to return to their neighborhood. If you live in an area that has been given permission to return, please have proof of residence with you to avoid any further delay in your return. We sincerely appreciate the public's patience and cooperation during this difficult situation. For further information regarding evacuation orders or road closures, please visit lacounty.gov/emergency. Thank you.
Los Angeles County Fire Department.
So good evening. My name is Anthony Maroney. I'm the Fire Chief of the County of Los Angeles Fire Department. And with me, I have Deputy Fire Chief Robert Harris, who's the LA County IC that participates in Unified Command. Before I begin, I just wanted to thank the rabbis here at Sinai Temple for inviting us into your home to host this important meeting so we can give you the vital information that you need. I would also like to thank and recognize our American Sign Language interpreters. You have been with us at every press conference that we've had, so thank you for bringing a voice to those that are deaf or hearing impaired. I'd like to apologize because I didn't write any formal remarks, so I thought that I would speak from the heart. And I just wanted to thank Chief Crowley and her team. You are a trusted partner of the LA County Fire Department. You and all of your members, we value you. So thank you. It was a little strange for me to actually be sitting in the audience and hear about reports of structures lost. And I want you to know that we realize that those structures are your homes and your businesses. And you might be facing from this fire one of the most difficult incidents that you've ever had to deal with. For that, I profusely apologize. Not because we did something wrong, but because we weren't able to protect a life, prevent a death, save your home, or save your business. So my apologies to all of you that you have to go through this absolutely terrible incident with us. But I must tell you that in my 39 years with the LA County Fire Department, I've never been more proud of the work my personnel did on Tuesday and Wednesday, fighting this destructive fire. I'm proud and thankful to the County Board of Supervisors who support me and my fire department and my personnel, and I'm proud of the community that supports us. So thank you. I'm sorry. We're going to get through this together, and I want you to know that we did our very best. Although we focus on stories of tragedy, I've heard so many stories of triumph. Lives saved, houses protected, and businesses that are still standing. So thank you, and I'd now like to turn it over to Chief Harris.
Thank you. As stated, I'm the Central Region Deputy Fire Chief, and our area butts up right next to the Palisades. And I can tell you, I responded to this fire when it first started, and we went very quickly into unified command with Los Angeles City Fire Department. And I can tell you early on that we threw every resource that we could at this fire. I've been on this fire department for 33 years, and I was actually there in 1993 when we had the last significant fire in Malibu. And I can tell you, I've never seen fire behavior like that. Just to watch just the sheer destruction happen all around you was difficult. To date, our fire department, we still have 350 members that are still committed to ensuring that the fire doesn't escape the line, and that we do everything possible to do a thorough search in the area and to render the area safe enough for you to return to your home. But we too have suffered losses as well, and some of those members are still out there working, even though they lost home, and some are even missing people from their families. So we struggle through this with you side by side, as what's been stated. I'd like to just give you some updated statistics. As of today, 50% of our damage inspections have been completed. For the community members that would like to see that information, you can go to recovery.lacounty.gov to view maps showing the damage sections that have been completed. Additionally, as our meteorologist has stated, next week we are looking, unfortunately, at some more winds coming into the area. So again, I would just like to encourage you to just stay ready. As we've been saying repeatedly at these press conferences, that we would just want to encourage everyone to, again, visit fire.lacounty.gov. There you will be able to view the Ready, Set, Go information, and that just talks about everything that you can do to prepare your family in the event that we need you to evacuate an area. Lastly, I'll just say this. I know that, this has been a long period of time, and we are working diligently with all of our federal, state, and local agencies, as well as the utilities, to render the area safe, or as safe as possible to get you back. So just please be patient with us. We want to get you in that area as quick as we can. Thank you.
Los Angeles Police Department.
Thank you.
You understandable guy from Boston? Well, thank you particularly to the leadership of Sinai Temple for having us here again. As Chief Maroney mentioned, we're very grateful for your partnership. And thank you to all of you as I look out for coming and joining us tonight. This is a tragic, but really a special time in LA's history, where we all deal with the situation that we have in front of us. We come together as one, and we put the very best effort we can on behalf of so many others. As was mentioned, we're 10 days in at this time, and what we've seen is an incredible effort by so many partners. And when I think about it, and I'm sitting here thinking about all of the people involved in this, the fire, clearly, police, public works, meteorologists, geologists, hydrologists, psychologists, clergy, animal services, and our partners from the National Guard, all coming together using the latest in technology of all kinds that we couldn't have dreamed of probably 10 years ago to be able to do what we can to save lives and property. The air assets, I think we've all come to realize just how important they are from so many different perspectives. But when that wind kicked up and we didn't have access to the air assets, it was a different ballgame. And so we're very thankful for the pilots of those aircraft that do a job that I can't even imagine what their situation looks like up there in the sky. The mutual aid, as you heard, from around the world, people reaching out, watching on TV 24/7 what all of you are dealing with, and they decided they want to be able to help make things a little better for all of us. The level of teamwork, expertise, dedication, and commitment, I think, is unparalleled in any operation I've seen before. And I'm so proud of all of our first responders and all of those who supported them on so many different levels. Thank you to so many who got us to this point where we're at today. And that includes the media who daily got our word out there on trying to be able to help put people in a better state of mind, to give them some assurance and to give them an understanding of what the game plan was for the day ahead. And so to our public, who have been our eyes and ears, who have been responsible for several arson arrests in particular, for others who were trying to continue the fires going, and we were able, because of their help, to take these people into custody. As Chief Harris mentioned, the impact on the organization, on individuals within the organization, is a heavy one. 19 of our people lost everything they have. 11 more have property damage so bad they can't inhabit it, and many of them with young children. And I spoke with every one of them this week, and my takeaway from that was I could not believe how positive, how resilient they were, how dedicated they were to coming back to work and helping in this effort as quickly as they could. And that takes a special type of person, but also a very, very supportive family to understand that mindset. And yet they did. And all of you demonstrate that same attitude of selflessness, of wanting to give so that others may benefit from your efforts. And for that, I thank you all. To get into more detail on LAPD's role, I'd like to introduce my partner here, the Los Angeles Police Department Incident Commander for the Palisades Fire, Commander Randy Goddard. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Just on a personal note, communities that have been affected by the fire have been in my thoughts and prayers, and I know the men and women of the Los Angeles Police Department, in my conversations with them, you've been in our thoughts and prayers. So, Chief Everett, back in 2019, Chief Everett and I worked on the Palisades fire in 2019, as well as the Getty fire. I was a captain here at West Los Angeles during that time, and I can tell you that powerful story that Chief Everett shared. He has everything in his heart for this community, and he, along with his firefighters, have done everything they can to support this community, and every word he said is absolutely true to the bone. When I was sitting here, I was getting past a few questions, so I'm going to alter my prepared comments based upon the questions that I'm getting and what's really important to all of you. So I'm going to start with repopulation. Everybody's asking when they can get back and see their homes. I understand that. And like my unified command talked about, every day we meet, our objective is to try to get people back to their homes as soon as possible. However, there's a lot of logistics that go into that. Right now, we're still continuing the urban search and rescue. We're still continuing an investigation to determine the cause of the fire. We're still working with utilities, gas company, power, water, roads, to make sure that the actual locations are safe to return to. There's a lot of logistics going on. EPA, a lot of folks are working tirelessly every day to try to get people back in as soon as possible. Today we had a win. We made some progress. We were able to get people back into some of that real estate, back in their homes. We're doing that for residents only right now. Another question that was asked is, well, what happens when people get back in? Is the LAPD going to stay there? And the answer is yes. LAPD is not going anywhere. We're there 24/7. We're going to continue to be in those neighborhoods 24/7 to make sure there's no criminal behavior. We have a zero tolerance policy. People come in, they're not supposed to be there, they're going to get arrested. We heard the You probably all heard the chief and the sheriff and the district attorney talk about full prosecution to the extent of the law to bring justice. We will continue that. We actually made arrests this afternoon. Somebody was in where they were not supposed to be. They could not justify for being there, and they were arrested and they were booked at Van Nuys Jail. That zero tolerance will continue until everybody's back in their homes and safe and we can move forward. So that's the repopulation. I know it's tough to say be patient, because if I were in your shoes, I understand. There's nothing more that you want to do to get back to your homes and see what's there. And I want that too, as all the unified commanders, as well as your elected officials, and we're going to do everything we can every day to make that happen as soon as possible, once it's safe to do so. Moving on here. So with that, that's the most important thing. I talked about the security. I talked about what we're going to do. We're working with a bunch of partners out here. I want to say thank you to some of our city family partners. Los Angeles Airport Police, Los Angeles Port Police, our partners at California Highway Patrol, National Guard. We obviously could not do this without that unified effort, everybody coming together to keep these communities safe. So thank you for all those partners, and I will end with that. Thank you very much.
California National Guard.
Good evening. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Manuel Reno. I'm the Incident Commander for Task Force 143, supporting LAPD, Santa Monica PD, the Sheriff's Department, and of course, the Fire Department. At this time, we have over 600 personnel supporting our partners, and we are manning over 43 checkpoints. One message that I do want to share with you is these soldiers supporting this community are your soldiers. They are your teachers, your nurses, your neighbors, many of whom have personally suffered some sort of losses, and they still showed here to help the community. We are here for the duration. We are here until our partners tell us to be here. We have pre-positioned assets to continue mission until we're called to mission complete. We are here to serve the community. We are empathetic, and we are part of you. Thank you.
City of Los Angeles Emergency Operations Center.
Good evening. I'm Brandon Silverman, a captain with the Los Angeles City Fire Department, and I'm here tonight on behalf of our City of Los Angeles Emergency Operations Center, or EOC. The EOC is located downtown in Los Angeles, and they are operated by the Los Angeles City Emergency Management Department, or EMD. On a personal note, I was initially deployed to this incident to the command post when it first broke out, and I was a liaison officer with a role of communicating between the incident commanders and our various supporting agencies, various supporting departments, like the DWP, gas company, Caltrans, Public Works. And I know that everyone that was on scene of that incident, agencies that you wouldn't think of as first responders necessarily, were all first responders in this scenario. Those agencies were going into areas and doing everything they could, putting their lives at risk in order to do anything to support our operations. So I think it's important that you all know that. At the EOC, where I was assigned after the first 36 hours or so, I took on a information role as a public information officer, and I was assigned to the Joint Information Center. At the EOC and the Joint Information Center, or JIC, we have officials from every city department, as well as representatives from supporting agencies and organizations, all under the same roof, to help facilitate everyone's goal of responding to this disaster and getting through the recovery process together. As you've heard from our incident commanders, firefighting, search, and inspection efforts continue, but great progress has been made. This allows us to begin focusing on the long and challenging process of recovery. While you may or may not be able to return to your properties at this time, you can still get started with the recovery process now if you're ready. You can visit lacity.gov and click on the LA Wildfire Recovery link for information and resources. You'll find assistance for individual families, property owners, businesses, and housing services. You can also start a damage assessment claim at this website. You'll also find contact information and a process for those in need of assistance locating a pet within the evacuation area. These are just a few of the resources that you'll find online, and additional links to assistance are being added regularly, so please check back often. You can also visit a Disaster Recovery Center, or DRC. In addition to the East Side location in Pasadena, the West Side DRC is located at 10850 Pico Boulevard, Los Angeles 90064. That's the old West Side Pavilion that's now part of the UCLA Research Facility, very close to here. This is a one-stop shop for information and resources designed to assist residents and business owners with processes like replacing lost vital records, including driver's licenses, birth certificates, death certificates, and Social Security documentation. There are also representatives to help you start the application process for disaster relief loans. Assistance for replacing needed medication, as well as mental health counseling, are also available at this location. As of this evening, since it opened at 1 p.m. on Tuesday, over 780 households have visited the Westside Disaster Recovery Center alone. It's open 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. and will remain open as long as necessary to provide services to those impacted by the Palisades wildfire. Again, for more detailed information and links to all of these recovery resources and more, in addition to the LA County Recovery website, please visit lacity.gov. And for social media users, our city's Unified LA accounts are active and providing updates regularly. We realize that much of the information being provided by state, county, and city agencies and websites may be overwhelming. In many cases, it's redundant, but that's intentional. Our common goal is to ensure that everyone who needs assistance or information can access it as easily as possible. We also know that this is an incredibly emotional and often frustrating time for many of you, especially since the situation is constantly evolving along with available information. But please know, along with our partners, your entire LA City family is doing everything we can to support you as we all recover from this disaster together. Thank you.
Next up, FEMA.
Good evening. My name is Carol Freisinger, and I am a Disaster Survivor Assistance Specialist with FEMA, or DSA. I just want to quickly share with you a few suggestions on how you can jumpstart your recovery with FEMA's help. Number one, file your insurance claims for your home, other property, and your vehicles. That is the very first thing you will hear FEMA people like me ask you to do. Second, contact FEMA. You have 4 ways of doing that. Number one, we have our helpline, which is 1-800-621-3362. It is open 24/7. Second, go online to disasterassistance.gov. Third, my predecessor here just mentioned the disaster recovery centers at UCLA Research Park West and at Pasadena Community College. Avail yourself of those services. As was indicated, there is not only FEMA, but a wide range of other services there that you might find useful for your recovery. And fourth, you can use the FEMA app on your phone. My colleagues and I will be out in the lobby this evening, and so we have FEMA staff here to help you register or just to answer your questions about the recovery process and how FEMA can help you. Thank you very much.
Now we will move into our question and answer session. So our agency representatives have some questions that you submitted here and that were submitted online. We'll have them come up one by one, answer the questions they have, and following this portion, we'll move into our distinguished guests and have them up here to present. So if we want to make our way down the line and answer some questions, do we have any questions in this row? LA County Sheriff.
There was a question posed, will the Palisade Highlands and other areas that were less affected be open sooner? If so, when? And it kind of goes hand in hand with another question, can medical office go back to their office to pick up essential items? Like Commander Goodard had said, the goal here is to make the area safe. There are hazardous materials, the roadways are maybe blocked or damaged, and so our goal here is to make the area safe. Like Commander Goodard said, the Unified Command are meeting hourly to assess the situation, and no doubt that we want to get you back into the area. So as soon as it is rendered safe, we will make arrangements to repopulate that area, and so that folks can go back to their properties. Thank you.
Los Angeles Police Department.
Again, Commander Randy Goddard, LAPD. No problem. All right, so a lot of things on obviously the repopulation. The question is, when can residents return? When, how can we get contractors into our house to make repairs so we can make our houses livable again? So no contractors, nothing will be able to enter into the area until that area is fully opened. Right now it's for essential services, emergency personnel, utilities, those type of things. Once we get to the point where it's a full reopening, you can get contractors back in there to make those necessary repairs and start to rebuild. One thing that goes with this that was brought up this morning at the IC's briefing, the Incident Commander's briefing, is once that area is rendered safe, what that means is the roadways have been rendered safe. That does not mean your property has been rendered safe. That is something that is not going to be determined by any of the Unified Command or any of the resources. That's something that is left up to the community member, the homeowner. Last question. What's the approach to subdividing the evacuation zones to enable earlier reentry? So that's exactly what we're doing. I'm trying to give every foot of real estate that we can give back through our Unified Command, every foot that we can give back, as soon as we can give back, we are giving back. We're not holding areas until we get a larger area that we can repopulate. Every day we're looking at that. Every day we're having those conversations, and every day anything I can give back as a Unified Command, we're giving back once it's safe. Thank you.
So I think
We're going to have our partners from CAL FIRE come on up.
Great question. So with the Santa Ana winds, obviously it's typically a northerly flow, and that goes, or northeasterly, and goes directly towards the ocean. So we haven't seen any fire growth in that area. We did make it through the last Santa Ana wind event. We have been reinforcing those lines. We will have crews where necessary based on the wind. We're strengthening those control lines in the area. And I mentioned it, I believe, the other night too, as well as one of these community meetings as well. We're building contingency line. We don't just have one plan ever. There's primary, the next plan after that's alternate, then we go to contingency, and we even have an emergency plan. So when it comes to community protection, there's 4 lines in the sand that we're going to draw before it can get there, and then that's how we do business on a regular basis. That's how we fight fire. That's our long-term strategic planning. So, but we are very well the weather. Crews will be in the right area, and the line will be in the right area. Yeah, a little bit hard to hear. I apologize. Our operations section chief is can give you those specifics when he comes to answer his questions for specific streets, but I just wanted to speak globally about communities and how we do our long-term process. I have one question. I'll just answer it while I'm here. How do we stop this from happening again? Well, I think this will be studied, and I think there's going to be a lot of data, I would assume, that comes out on some historic winds that we saw. We heard our meteorologist talk about that. You know, for any of us, including myself, that live in fire-prone areas, all we can do is be stewards of our property and be prepared. And that sounds simple, but when we see winds like that and there's ignition, we prepare our properties. It protects the property next door. You know, we look at, we can join Firewise communities. We can look into that, and it takes all of us. But it all starts with our property and being good stewards of our land to protect the property next door, not only our home. We have research, or we have references that you can go to, readyforwildfire.org, and you need to be prepared because life comes first. And I know property, we heard Chief Harris talk about the Ready, Set, Go program. I know the Los Angeles Fire Department has their Ready, Set program that you can find on their websites, but that's a very vague answer, but it starts with us, and I think more data will come out with the winds we saw. If you get a chance afterwards, talk to any of the firefighters that are here tonight about the conditions that we saw. Might be the conditions they probably or may not see again in their career. So obviously a very strong wind and a historic event, but that's the best advice I can give you at this point.
Okay, as we continue with the questions, we're going to work off the questions on the card. It is a really hard. Yes, sir. Yeah,
yeah, I'll keep my answer short. No. I just wanted to speak to the LA County Fire Department on that question, how do we prevent this from happening again? And that's going to be very, very difficult because we've had a lot of discussion and there's been a lot of review about the number of fire engines, the number of firefighters, how long did it take to get on scene? Did you have water or didn't you have water? What we experienced here was a community conflagration. Much like Lahaina, the Marshall Fire in Colorado when there was snow on the ground and fire moved from house to house, or Paradise in Northern California. What was different this time is that a community conflagration occurred in a metropolitan area. LA City and LA County Fire, over 200 fire stations. We have 9,000 firefighters in the Los Angeles County area between the 29 departments. The challenge now, like Chief Hudson said, is going to be to build Firewise communities. It's to make sure that when we rebuild, which will occur, that those structures are standalone, that a firefighter or a fire engine is not going to need to be at your home for it to survive. We need to make sure that defensible space is appropriate and that it's enough. And lastly, due to climate change, we need to manage our wildfire ecosystem. What we've essentially done in Los Angeles County is remove fire from the natural environment. When the native First Peoples were here, the fires burned in these hills, and they even had cultural burns. We now no longer allow fire to propagate naturally. So when it occurs under 100-mile-an-hour winds or 70-mile-an-hour winds, it is impossible for Chief Crowley's firefighters or for my firefighters to put that fire out. And this event was different. I've never seen fire behavior like that in 39 years. This incident is going to go down as the most destructive fire incident in the history of Los Angeles County. We would love to be able to stop it next time, but I don't want to lie to you. It's going to be very difficult unless we change a couple of important things. So thank you for understanding that. Thank you.
From which fire, Mel?
So thank you. Thank you for your question, ma'am. So let me just give you a little information. So thank you very much for that. We've had a lot of questions about that specific fire that was about 9 days prior. What I can tell you is that we've pulled together, and Chief McDonald can come up and also provide some additional information about the team that we've put together to make sure that we are connecting those dots if there's dots to be connected. There's a national investigative team that is working that has the absolute best of the best that was pulled together after, I say actually at day 2. So from the likelihood of where it started, how it started, did it start 9 days prior or not, I can tell you we've got the right team that is digging into every single detail. And if that indeed is what had happened, they will find that out for you. We owe that to you as a community to understand where and how this happened, where and how this started. We want to know as much as you want to know. I can tell you that. And I can also say that we put together the right team to figure it out for all of us. So, yes, ma'am. Right. I can tell you that our team who responded to that particular fire, and we've got the incident commander from that, I'm not sure if, Chief Everett, you've got information on that. We won't leave a fire that has any hot spots. But with that, I will tell you that the investigation, the team that we have on board right now, will be able to determine whether or not that did indeed happen. It's under, I know you hate to hear that, it's under investigation, be patient. But I tell you, I guarantee you got the right team who will tell you the truth and what they find out. They're investigating that, they're aware of that fire. Everything is there for them. There's full disclosure. I can look you in the eye and tell you that, full disclosure. If that indeed is what they find out, we will tell you that. And right now, we got the right team looking at it. I promise you that.
Go ahead.
someone give her a mic or something, please?
Is this the time to introduce algorithms of artificial intelligence? Because that might be the way to help prevent statistically this reoccurring. Artificial intelligence.
So the question was about artificial intelligence, and our apologies, we did not set this up in a format where there's back and forth, only because the capacity and the challenge that comes with this many people. We have folks online who can't hear the questions. We have a lot of folks with a lot of good information waiting to speak. So we're going to work off the cards. We are all going to be available once this is complete. So if we could please allow us to work off of the cards with the questions submitted, we're going to move into the presentations. We're going to allow our media a chance to ask questions. None of us are going anywhere. We're all going to be available for questions, but we can't continue to take questions or we're going to be here until 2 in the morning. We want to be available for you, but please, out of respect for everybody's time, let's work off the cards, and then we will move into our speakers.
I'll just close the loop really fast on the fire on New Year's Eve. I was not there. I was out of town. However, when that fire broke up, I got myself and my deputy chief were up on the phone talking to each other and talking to the incident commander. I can tell you those people on that fire ground were highly qualified and well trusted. They also did what they called a cold trailing operation well into the next day. We kept a patrol well over 36 hours. We kept the hose line on the hill. We kept it plumbed just to go back and continue to patrol. That fire was dead out. If it is determined that was the cause, it would be a phenomenon.
Okay, so our County Office of Emergency Services is going to answer your... Understood, sir. We're going to have our OES friends talk. The tricky part is we have thousands of folks online who are trying to participate. They can't hear anything you said, and we mentioned that we're trying to keep the format. So we're going to answer that question. Please, no other questions from the audience. We will be available for you after the show. Please respect everybody's time. We're going to answer this question. We're going to finish the cards, and we're going to continue on with our speakers. Thank you.
So I do appreciate that question, and it's interesting because a lot of people are very frustrated that they can't get back to their properties, even if they know their property, their home doesn't exist on that lot anymore. But you are expressing exactly the concerns that we are concerned about, and that's why there is such a delay in allowing people back into those areas. You can imagine all the different types of hazards involved, and you listed some of them right there. But that's why we have hazardous materials specialists out in the area to go through each property and deem it safe. And just for instance, think about all of the lithium batteries that may be on these properties, from small electronics to all of the electric vehicles and power walls that people have in their homes. You've probably seen some incidents over the last few years as these have become more popular, and it's pretty unpredictable of when a battery will experience overheating and then eventually cause a blast of flame coming out of it, a jet of flame that's very dangerous. So with the area that's covered by this fire disaster area, this whole zone needs to be methodically gone through for all of those hazardous materials. In addition, once they deem it safe of all of those hazards, chemicals and such, there will be resources, and some of the resources are at the Disaster Recovery Center right now. They're nonprofit groups, volunteer groups that assist in that recovery process. They have tools and equipment as far as goggles and face masks, shovels, buckets, whatever you might need, protective clothing. There will be a lot of information given to you over the next week or 2 weeks, 3 weeks, as long as it takes in order to prepare you for that task of going back to your properties. So we want you to be patient, but that is a perfect example of why it is taking as long as it is to be able to release these areas to everyone to go back into their homes or their properties. You hear that term homes quite a bit, and I've heard people get upset when we mention homes. But some of you do still have somewhere to go back to, and we understand your frustrations that you haven't been allowed back to your homes that are still standing, but they're intermixed with other areas that are very, very dangerous. So we just ask that you be patient with us, and we will provide you all of the resources you need to return to those areas safely whenever we can. We're going to be answering questions individually. We're going to stick around here. We'll be back there. I'd be happy to discuss individuals. I understand you're frustrated, sir. As was described, there was a process for asking questions on cards. Correct. We're going to be here to answer your questions right after we conclude this formal presentation. I just wanted to make sure you also have another resource to talk to after this presentation ends. This is Jennifer Lazo. She is from our Department of Emergency Management Department of the City of Los Angeles. She's even more of an expert in this recovery process than I am. She will be able to answer even more specific questions like you're talking about, sir. So please find her when we conclude this presentation.
Folks, unfortunately, we will not be able to continue this program, sir. Sir, nobody else will be able to get any information, sir. Please. We want to continue this program. We would like to continue this program. We are here for you. We understand there is frustration. Please. We are absolutely open to feedback. So yes, thank you. Okay, so we're going to move into our operations section. He's received some cards, so we're going to have him answer those.
Hello again, Christian Litz with operations on the Palisades Fire. We've got 2 questions here on this card. What is being done to put out spots at night to prevent embers burning and flare-ups? So since the beginning of this incident, resources have been on this fire 24 hours a day. So they're working 24-hour shifts. So we have resources during the day and during the night. As I talked earlier about aircraft that have infrared technology, they are flying several times during the day. We have a 10 o'clock flight, a 4 o'clock flight, and then we have several flights into the evening. That technology is being passed down even as the aircraft is in the air down to personnel on the ground so they can actively and aggressively attack those isolated heat sources to prevent any more flare-ups or embers burning. We also have the ability of multiple aircraft, helicopters, that can still drop water during the night to allow those ground resources to give them extra support so that we can do what we have to do. Second question is, what is the possibility of a community task force under the fire department supervision to prevent this? So as I have said, we are 24 hours a day. We have resources all around the perimeter of the fire, interior of the fire, and even in the communities beyond. So until it is safe, we would like to keep the professionals that are trained, that have the right equipment to do what they have to do and use the technology. There will be a time and place for volunteers, and we appreciate people volunteering, and everybody's willing to help. And it's the passion that we see in everybody here is tremendous. When it comes time for that, you can reach out to the liaisons on the IMT that we have, so CAL FIRE Team 2, and then we can make things appropriate and make those notifications. Thank you.
Next up, FEMA with a couple of questions.
Good evening. My name is Michael Hart. I am a press officer here in the FEMA press office working out of the Pasadena office here. Have 2 questions for FEMA. The first one is, when will FEMA issue any payments? Once your application process is complete, you can expect to receive payment anywhere between 48 to 96 hours, depending on whether you're going to receive it electronically or via the mail via a check. And the next question is, well, that's going to be based on your individual application. Next question is, will FEMA pay for healthcare costs for people that need rehabilitation from trauma? And the answer is yes, if that rehabilitation service is part of an incurred expense from the disaster. So you can work through your work with your FEMA representative as you work through your application process. And if that expense was incurred based on the incident, then it will be part of your grant payment. And the last question for FEMA is FEMA going to pay for all debris cleanup for private residences? And that is a possibility if the debris is affecting access to your property or is affecting the habitability of that property. Thank you.
Next up, United States Representative Brad Sherman.
Hello. For decades, I've been known as Brad Sherman from America's best named city, Sherman Oaks. I've represented the Valley. 2 years ago, they added certain parts of the west side to my district, the Palisades, Topanga, Brentwood, Malibu. I want to thank the firefighters that are here, that are putting their lives on the line to protect so much of our community. And I want to thank the rabbis of Sinai Temple. I was talking to Cal Fire, and they said we needed a really large auditorium, and this outfit has turned us down, and UCLA came. Within 1 hour, they said yes, and that's why the community can be there. Now, the number one question we've got is, when can you get back in your home? That's been addressed by firefighters, but I may have some more useful information. The first thing you've got to ask is your home in the fire perimeter? And that's why you're going to go to this website and to see whether you're in the perimeter. Now here's the bad news. If you're in the perimeter, it's going to take a while. EPA has to come in. You may have toxic materials there of various sorts. The building materials are not designed to be wholesome when they burn. You've got car batteries, you've got household cleaners, and so EPA has to get in there. They have to do a lot of other things, of course, the utility lines. What if you're outside the perimeter area? Then they still are not letting most people in. However, they announced today that a lot of areas you can get back in. But the announcement, so far, they haven't published a map. So how do you know whether you're allowed back in? What they've allowed in is, what they've done is they've published, and I'm sure the firefighters let me know if the map is available. But right now, they've published a map that it just says Zone C408. So am I in Zone C408? You go to protect.genesis, that's G-E-N, that's not on the... No, that's not that one. Protect.genesys.com, and you put in your address, and it'll tell you what section you're in, and then you can see whether you're one of those sections. And obviously, and I'm sure the firefighters and the sheriffs hear you very loud and clear. As soon as a part of a section can be opened up, people want to get back. They're anxious to get back. So let's publish the map and let's expand the map to hopefully everybody who's not at least in the perimeter. So what do you do if you can't get back, but you want to know what's happened to your home? You can put your address into this website, and all the homes that have been inspected, and the vast majority have, they'll tell you what level of damage is there. They may show you a picture, and it'll give you some idea. So you say, why in the hell won't they do what they were doing the first couple of days and give me an escort and let me go see my home? That's important physically. It's important psychologically. First, that was a tremendous strain on resources because so many people wanted to do it. And second, they didn't tell you this, there are people who de-evacuate when that happens. They're taken up to show their home. They walk in. They lock the door behind them. They refuse to leave. They have, in part, ruined it for everybody else. What about checking on your pet? You call 213-270-8155. Animal Services will... Okay, once again, that's 213-270-8155. Animal Services will arrange to get your key and go check on your animals. Now, you're worried about the security of your home. I've toured Palisades, and there's a lot of security. In particular, you're going to be concerned about your bank if you have a safe deposit box there. First, these safe deposit boxes are not, or these vaults are not absolutely fireproof, but they're mostly fireproof. And we've talked to the California Bankers Association about that. But second, you say, well, even if it survived the fire, what about the looters? I've been told that there are National Guards people there at each bank, or very close to each bank. So don't try to steal the safe deposit boxes. I served for a couple of decades on the Foreign Affairs Committee, so I want to take a moment to thank our international partners, Canada and Mexico, who have come to help out, and just recently Israel. And I'll mention that just because I played a role in that. I knew that Israel had resources that would be useful, and had made an offer, but had not gotten an answer. I called the governor. They made the request. I talked to the Israeli Consul General, and Israel's doing something that none of our other aides from other states or countries are doing it. They're doing it without compensation. Whereas everyone else we have a joint fire agreement with, and they're getting compensated as they should. But Israel's gone one step further. Postal issues. Arrange to have your mail forwarded. The easiest way to do that is go to any post office, show them your ID. You can also do it online. If the post office can't deliver to your address, they're going to hold it at the post office. Malibu Post Office is now open. Palisades Post Office, your mail is at Rancho Park. Topanga, your mail is at Santa Monica. Passports. The passport office will open on Wilshire Boulevard in Westwood on Tuesday, but it's by appointment. What if you have an urgent trip? You call our office. We try to arrange an emergency visit for you. What number do you call? For everything I'm talking about, but particularly passports, 818-501-9200. Ask for John Alford. Now, most of you might use the passport as ID. The easier ID to get is from the Department of Motor Vehicles. They're one of the 60 agencies at the Disaster Recovery Center, which has been mentioned before, and it's in the old West Side Pavilion, open 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Dealing with your insurance company, go to my website. I've got some ideas on how to deal with your insurance company. That's bradsherman.house, that's for House of Representatives, bradsherman.house.gov. Some of you know I'm an old CPA, so I can't resist talking to you about income taxation. And these rules apply both federal and state. First, the deadlines have been extended. Everything about income tax, file or pay, has been delayed for the whole county of Los Angeles till October 15th. No interest. Second, as I'll get to, some of you are going to get grants where the government gives you money to help you get back on your feet. Those are all tax exempt. Third, you will want to take a casualty loss on your income tax return. You can put it on your 2004 return even though it's a 2005 fire, or you can put it on your 2005 return, your choice. And you take it as an itemized deduction. The amount you take is your entire uninsured loss of real estate and personal property. But you cannot deduct more than your basis. What's your basis? It's what you paid to build your house, to buy your house, to improve your house, or to pay for all the stuff that was in your house that burned down. Now, you're going to deal with insurance. Some of you are going to get major insurance settlements. Those are all tax exempt, except to the extent they exceed your basis. So if you bought your home for $100,000 half a century or more ago, and you're going to get an insurance check for $1 million, you're going to have what's a capital gain. That capital gain is tax exempt to the extent of $250,000 or $500,000 if you're for a married couple, if you've lived in the house for a couple of years, if it's your long-term house. So that's okay, covered income taxation. Now let's go to the next chart. FEMA. I know FEMA's here. They're doing a great job. They've put together that center that's on Pico Boulevard. They've got one problem. Some of you have gotten this letter. You go to log on to FEMA, and you indicate you have any insurance, and they send you a letter that includes the words, assistance not allowed. And then you think, my God, I've been rejected. This letter needs to be explained. What this letter says is they're not going to give you any big bucks until they know what your insurance covers. So, what do you get from? So don't take this letter as a rejection. We'll go on to the next, and we'll see what does FEMA provide. First, even when you get that what looks like a rejection letter, you get $770, and that's available to everybody who's affected, including, I believe, those who work in the Palisades but don't live in the Palisades. Second, you can get a $43,600 as a grant to deal with your real property losses. If you qualify for that $43,600 from FEMA, the state of California adds another $10,000 to it. And then you can get another $43,600 to deal with your non-real property losses, particularly your car or your health costs. So that's a total of available money of $97,970. There is more, and that is the they pay for your rental costs while you're out of your home. And that depends on the size of your family, the average cost of rent in the area that you rent in, and a host of other things. But that can be very substantial because some of you will be rebuilding and will be out of your home for a long time. Let's move on to the next, and that's the Small Business Administration. I don't think I know they're not represented here, but these are larger dollars, but they're not grants, they are loans. For a homeowner, it's up to $500,000 to cover the home and the real property, $100,000 to deal with personal property. The interest rate is 4% most of the time, and actually most of the time it's considerably less than 4%. The first 12 months, you don't have to make any payments, but the interest does run. So you got 12 months that you don't have to pay. And the good thing about an SBA loan is they will subordinate. So you may be in a circumstance where you say, well, I get this loan from SBA, but I'm also going to need a loan from Bank of America, and I don't want to go to the Bank of America and say I want to borrow money as a third trustee. They'll laugh me out of the wall. They'll send me down to the high-cost lender or whatever. SBA will subordinate so you can give the private bank a second trust deed, and SBA will get third in line. What about businesses? $2 million can be loaned for physical loss or for economic injury, such as your lost sales. Again, these interest rates are usually around 4%. 12 months, you don't have to pay. It's a higher interest rate if your business is so successful that the private sector is anxious to lend money to you. But for most businesses, most small businesses, it'll be around 4%. Now, a few legislative issues, federal governmental issues. First, Biden has done all he can do, and I think what Biden has done will not be reversed. But what Biden has done has mostly helped our local governments. The firefighting costs for this disaster, paid for by the federal government. The cost to rebuild public enterprise, and I just toured, or at least saw from a distance, Pali High School, will be almost entirely paid for by the federal government. That's great if you're running a school district or a fire department. Congress has got to act to do more to provide the aid I've just described. A lot of people can't afford to take on additional debt, and you cannot rebuild your uninsured house for $43,600. More was provided for Hawaii, although we've had some disasters where no more, but the standard package has been provided. My goal is, I've already talked to the most senior House member who's a Republican, and of course all the Democratic members of the House. We're going to be fighting for more. Technically, we're going to be fighting for the CDBG program. And I do not know what the outcome will be. There's plenty of discussion of conditioning that, linking it, and those of you who follow national politics know that it is a messy, messy process. I've organized a tour where I'm inviting key members from all over the country. I don't think many of them will make it. I'm also inviting all the California members to come tour the Palisades. They will be doing that at 3 p.m. on Saturday, because I need motivated allies to say, damn it, this is important, and nothing motivates like actually seeing it. Finally, a few ideas, and I'm one of the least qualified people to say how are we going to prevent fires. I'm not a qualified firefighter by any means, but I will point out a couple of things. First, a lot of discussion about this being a water availability problem. We know that's not true. Nobody's been told not to water their lawn, not last week, not this week. And if you needed a shower, I hope you took one. We've got enough water to run this city. What we didn't have is a water distribution system capable of putting millions and millions of gallons up the hill and into the Palisades. Looking back, it's easy for me to say, well, they should have done that. Needless to say, we will in the future, but we've got a lot to do. The second thing is, how do you build houses for the physical construction? We have Chapter 7A of a statewide building code. That is required of anything built 2008 and future. Those who were buildings built before 2008 did not have to be retrofitted. How important is this code for the Palisades? I don't know. But I do know that with the Paradise Fire, which was somewhat similar, 55% of the homes that met the new code survived, and only 18% of the homes that didn't meet the new code survived. Now, it will have, this particular community is going to be rebuilt for the most part. It's going to be rebuilt according to this, but we've got a whole city, and the next disaster may not be in the Palisades, and for the most part, this city was built before 2008. Another issue is what requirements we put on homeowners dealing with vegetation. A big issue is just what's within 5 or 10 feet of your home. And if it's a eucalyptus tree with a branch touching your roof, that's not good. And so I did a poll. Many of you are aware that I had 12,000 people on the line last night, and we did a poll asking, do you support the strictest possible enforcement on homeowners and invasive? And this is something we already have to some degree, but it doesn't happen all that often. And that is, every home's inspected, you get a letter, you're told to clean it up, you don't do it, the government comes and rips out the bush that they told you was too close to your home, sends you a bill, and puts it as a lien on your house if you don't pay. That's the strictest program I can think of. Overwhelmingly, people who responded to that poll said, yes, that's what they want to see. So we've got a long way to go to prevent the next fire. We've got a long way to go to protect ourselves from, to recover from this fire. And I look forward to working with you every step of the way. My office is working 12 hours a day. We are at the center on Pico Boulevard, and our phone number is 818-501-9200. Thank you.
California State Senator Ben Allen.
thank the Congressman for the comprehensive tax and policy seminar. Certainly covered a lot of what I had to say, what I wanted to say, but it was actually very helpful. I really do appreciate it, Congressman, and very helpful, practical information, which I think is what everyone's looking for right now. This has been an incredibly difficult week for everybody. I have met many friends that have lost their homes. I had to evacuate my mom, and I've hugged a lot of friends who've lost everything. And I just want to say how incredibly sorry I am to everyone for their loss in this very difficult time. Just want to reiterate a couple things that I'd like people to really avail themselves of this disaster recovery center that's been mentioned several times. In addition to FEMA, which is the main reason for going there, to have a face-to-face conversation with someone from FEMA. There are a lot of state services there as well, the Franchise Tax Board, Controller's License Board, DMV. They literally they're sitting there making new licenses for people if you lost your license. I also encourage you, the registrar recorder is out there, making new, birth certificates and marriage certificates as well. One thing to mention on the insurance side, we are having a workshop this weekend at Santa Monica College, but the Broad Stage campus on 11th Street and Santa Monica Boulevard in Santa Monica. We are bringing in insurers on the private sector side and the FAIR Plan and the Department of Insurance, so you can have face-to-face conversations with them, get your claims in and get everything moving with regards to your insurance claims. Because I know a lot of you have been stuck on hold or not getting good answers or not really getting through to a real person. And they are all going to be there in person at Santa Monica College at the Santa Monica and 11th Street campus this coming weekend. Walk-ins are accepted, but we encourage people to make appointments at 1-800-927-4357. That's 1-800-927-4357. Please call, make an appointment, and come on down and have an opportunity to talk directly to a claims person from whoever your insurer may be. FEMA ends up taking over from beyond, from those things that your insurance is not going to cover, and that's an important conversation for you to have as well. Obviously, lots of money coming down the pike from the federal government and the state as well. The governor just announced a big infusion of state money to help. There's a lot of interest in trying to help. I'm doing something similar to what the congressman's doing, and he's bringing in his colleagues from around the country. We're bringing in leaders from Sacramento and elsewhere. We just had the minority leader, the Republican leader of the state assembly, toured the site just yesterday, and I've been in very close touch with him. It's so important, especially with the transition in federal government happening on Monday, for this to truly be a bipartisan effort. These are fellow Americans. This fire didn't see red or blue. We need to come together as Democrats and Republicans to support this community in need. And that's something that's been a big priority for me as I've been reaching out to Republican friends to do everything I can to ensure that this is a smooth transition between the Biden and Trump administrations in terms of support for our state in this incredibly difficult effort. Ultimately, it's our job to ensure that you have the resources you need to allow for the recovery and the rebuilding that we know you need to do in this beautiful community that we've lost, that we love so much up in the Palisades and in Malibu. And so I'm going to be sticking around. Our office is open for you for questions. If you're having any trouble deciphering all of the bureaucracy that's been thrown at you today, please don't hesitate to call us, 310-414-8190. And we've got a really dedicated staff, as I know the other elected officials do as well, that are ready to help you navigate the challenges of dealing with the government as you are trying to recover. But there are a lot of resources out there for people to get back on their feet. And I just encourage you, I ask you, please avail yourself of these resources. They're there for you in this time of need. And it's really important for you to get back on your feet, and for our whole region, for the Palisades and Malibu to get back on its feet. So thank you so much, and I'll be sticking around to talk to people afterwards. Appreciate you so much, and I just want to also thank our incredible firefighters and law enforcement that have been working so hard to keep those communities safe. It's been a very difficult time for us, and there's a lot of frustration. Of course there's frustration. People have lost their homes and lost that beautiful community. But we know that so many of you have given your all to protect that community, and we just appreciate you. Thank you.
California Assembly Member Jackie Irwin.
Hi, everybody. I am the assembly member that represents Palisades and Malibu. I was, at the risk of sounding repetitive, I was just at the Resource Center, and we have a lot of residents that are coming and talking to us, and I had a conversation with a gentleman, and his story was so heart-wrenching about how he lost his family home. And I know that each one of you sitting out there has similar stories, and we just all feel so awful for you. I also want to thank the firefighters and first responders who have worked so hard to minimize the loss here. They have worked tirelessly for 9 days, often in 24-hour shifts, and we are truly appreciative. I just want to mention a couple of things for me right now, and I think for a lot of the other elected officials. Our first priority before getting you through the first few days is to get debris removal. And the state of California is going to take that task on. We have already gone through a number of fires in Ventura County, and it was done very quickly in the Thomas fire, a couple of months to 6 months. It's not. We are hearing 5 years. That is not happening. All of us. I will be back after. We can certainly discuss it, but the governor has made that commitment. But I also want to say to a lot of the residents here, what we're hearing about, and many of you might be getting calls from basically predatory buyers. Do not sell your properties for pennies on the dollar. There are a lot of resources out there. Your insurance companies, so far, the good insurance companies have offered a very generous additional subsidy if you rebuild. We are going to be looking at streamlining processes. There's a bill right now to hold building codes for the next 6 years. So making sure that we rebuild, give you the tools to rebuild in a very resilient and hardened way, but do not, in a weak moment, take less than you deserve. We want to make sure that your community character is maintained. And on that note, there's a lot of scamsters out of there too. Be very wary. They are trying to take advantage of you right now. The last thing is we did introduce a bill this morning for mortgage forbearance. I would suggest all of you call up your banks. Some of them are already offering 4 to 6 months. Our bill is to try to make it a year to make sure, again, that you can rebuild and we can rebuild these communities of Malibu and Pacific Palisades. I will stay after, but I will tell you that our office is always open. We are answering calls every day to get you the resources or the connections that you need. Thank you very much.
California Assembly Member Jesse Gabriel. Los Angeles County Supervisor Lindsay Horvath.
Good evening. I first want to extend my heartfelt condolences to all who have lost family members and loved ones. May their memory be a blessing. And I want to extend my deepest sympathies to all who have lost so much in this terrible time of tragedy. I've heard from many residents who are concerned that once the cameras go away and the new crisis of the day appears, that the attention will be lost and our focus on you will no longer remain. And my office is committed to working with you and seeing you through this very difficult time for as long as it takes. Residents in some evacuated areas are being permitted to return home each day. We were able to return some people home today, and as you have heard, there are many steps being taken to ensure your safety and ability to do so. These include safety inspections, search operations, damage assessments, and utility restorations. The EPA is working with local teams to assess removal of toxic materials as well. They have invested $100 million and at least 500 personnel in this effort. So this is a resource that is available to you to help with that removal, in addition to Cal Recycle, and Los Angeles County will be the lead and your partner in helping to make that happen. For updates from the county on evacuation zones that are being lifted, you can follow the Sheriff's Department, LASDHQ, on social media, or you can follow the maps that exist at recovery.lacounty.gov. For anyone who is seeking FEMA assistance, you have 51 days from today to apply and 18 months to complete the paperwork. So please apply ASAP. The application process is 60 days from the time that the president signed the declaration. So the clock is ticking, and we want to make sure you get your application in. Even if you get a rejection notice, it means your application is in. If you have questions about that, you can come to the Disaster Recovery Center from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., and there are people there in person to walk you through what the process is going forward and to answer any questions that you might have. Our 3rd District team is also there every day in person, in addition to being available by phone, online, and at all of our district offices. And once again, all of that information can be found at recovery.lacounty.gov. I was with the California Attorney General today, who wanted me to remind you about his efforts on price gouging. If you are seeing price gouging and predatory practices, especially on housing options, you can call 1-800-593-8222, or you can go to his website at oag.ca.gov/report. I want to thank our first responders. It breaks my heart to hear anyone express anything but gratitude for your work. I know that it has been a Herculean effort, and the team that we have had out there is second to none. I also want to thank all of our local, state, and federal partners who have joined the county in the effort to support the community at this very difficult time. And I thank you all for being here tonight and for the work that we will do together to rebuild our community.
Los Angeles City Council Member Tracy Park.
All righty. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here tonight. I'm Tracy Park. I represent the West Side, including the communities of Brentwood and Pacific Palisades. Obviously, these last 10 days have been the most horrific that we have ever experienced as a community and as a city. I want to acknowledge that in addition to the pain and the loss in this room tonight, there is a lot of anger and frustration. So I want to assure folks that we are working on the ground as quickly as possible to both get the fire under control, people home, and questions answered. I want to talk a little bit about the status of the evacuation zones and repopulation efforts as they apply to my friends and neighbors here on the West Side. For residents of Brentwood who are outside of the immediate fire impact area but are still in the evacuation zones, for Brentwood Park, if you live south of Marlboro, you have been permitted now to return home. If you live east of Kenter or in the Mountain Gate communities, you are now permitted to return home. In some cases, the utilities have not yet been restored. So I want to let folks know that you may be coming home to no water and no power. However, I have just received word from DWP that they are actively in the process of restoring utilities in those areas. So I think we are looking at hours, not days. That is good news. I have less good news for some other impacted communities in Brentwood and in the direct fire impact area. Unfortunately, in Brentwood Park, if you live north of Marlboro, or if you live west of Kenter, you are still in the mandatory evacuation zone, and I do not yet have a timeline on when returns are going to be permitted. This is a decision that is made by the command, not by the CD11 council office, but I want to reassure folks that I am pushing as hard as we can to get the ground conditions under control so that it's safe, because I want everybody to be able to come home. To folks in the Pacific Palisades who have not yet had an opportunity to come back to the area and to see if their business or their home is even still there, I'm going to ask for your continued patience and assure you that hundreds of utility workers and first responders continue to be on the ground addressing the hazards like broken water pipes, gas lines, downed electrical lines, downed electrical power lines, and search and rescue teams are still on the ground as well. I do not yet have a timeline when people are going to be able to get back into that immediate impact area. But I want you to hear this assurance from me as your council member. I want you all to have the opportunity to go home. And I think that especially for people in the Pacific Palisades, we owe it to you to have an opportunity to see whether you have a home or what may be left of it. I want the world to see what happened to our beautiful, beloved, vibrant, thriving community of the Pacific Palisades. If you are a CD11 team member and you're here, can you put your hands up? I want you guys to take a look, give them a wave, thank you. These folks are on the ground in the community every single day. They are here to help. We are trying to fill as many gaps as we can. We are leaving our Westchester office open all weekend. Our downtown City Hall office will be open to help with phone calls. Our donation pickup center will be open all weekend at our Westchester field office. So please feel free to reach out to us. I push out current information on @Councilwoman Tracy Park, and I encourage everybody to go to cd11.lacity.gov and sign up for my weekly newsletter, where I also push out a lot of current information. I also want to take a moment and talk about the long-term recovery. I know many of you have questions not only about when can you even get back to see your former neighborhood, but what is the actual timeline to begin the process of rebuilding? Guys, we have a lot of toxic debris on the ground. Everything in the Pacific Palisades has burned to the ground. The ash and the rubble is a toxic mess that is full of lead and arsenic and other poisonous toxins. So we want to be very, very careful and make sure that that is all removed, but just getting the debris out. We may be looking at many months before we can even begin rebuilding. But I am committed to moving this as quickly as possible. On Tuesday, our first day back in council since the fire erupted last Tuesday, I introduced a package of legislation, more than 24 motions, that will lay the framework for wildfire recovery here in Los Angeles. Among other things, this calls for an outside independent inquiry and after-action incident review, because I think you all are entitled to transparent, clear answers about what happened with this fire. How did it start? What contributed to the causes? What went right and what went wrong? We are going to get to the bottom of those issues, and I am going to ensure that you have the answers. We have also created an ad hoc committee for Los Angeles recovery. This will enable us to bring structured management and oversight to all of the federal, state, county, and other assistance, as well as our own city departments. This legislation also includes long-term financing for infrastructure and facilities, and it also covers smaller things like the criminal conduct, such as looting and burglary, small business assistance, housing relief. You can go to my website for more information and follow along with me at the channels that I've already suggested to make sure that you have that information. My policy team has worked very closely with the cities of Santa Rosa and Paradise and Lahaina, and we are incorporating much of the best practices and lessons learned into the work that we are currently doing. I also want to let you know that we are working across city departments and state and federal jurisdictions to ensure that we are able to streamline the permitting and building process so that we can get folks home and the opportunity to rebuild in an efficient and effective way. I'm also going to just one last time mention the Disaster Recovery Center that is set up at the UCLA Research Park, the former West Side Pavilion. It is one-stop shopping for people who have been impacted by these fires, from applying for disaster assistance to meeting with the Department of Insurance, who, by the way, is your watchdog as a policyholder. They are there to make sure you get all of the benefits that you are entitled to. I highly, highly encourage all of you to meet with the Department of Insurance. There are also other resources on hand, housing assistance, business assistance, many, many dozens of resources there. So please take the time to stop by there. It is going to be a very, very valuable resource for you. I just want to assure folks, we have a long road ahead to recovery, but I am going to be there with you every step of the way. If you need help or assistance, you have questions, please never hesitate to reach out to me and my team. We are literally moving mountains to get you information and a pathway to get you all home. Thank you so much.
Los Angeles City Council Member Katie Yaroslavsky. Mayor of the City of Malibu, Doug Stewart.
In the interest of not being repetitive, I'll try just to address the issues that are unique to the city of Malibu. First off, your city is operating in its emergency operations center continuously. We have been open actually before the fire started on a basic arrangement, and as the fire escalated, we expanded it. It is still operating in City Hall. It's there from 7:30 in the morning till 6:30 at night. We have a hotline for you to call if you have questions about Malibu. Now, MalibuCity.org website is the place to go for more information. As far as what's important to our city, let's talk about where we are as Malibu. The fire emergency has passed. The Emergency Operations Center is now focused on restarting the city. Everyone in the city was affected by this, not just the ones that were burned. We've gotten utilities turned off almost entirely across the city, and we're bringing those back online now. The gas company has the western end of Malibu approximately half reconnected to the gas line service. They will move into the evacuation warning area over the next few days. But if you need gas, call the customer service number for the gas company and arrange an appointment to restart your service if it's available. Those in the mandatory evacuation areas, that is not going to be the case for you. Now, as far as the restart goes, we're looking at having a town hall meeting. It's already set for next Tuesday night at Malibu High School. We want our residents to come, and you'll have an opportunity to voice your concerns, have a conversation, two-way conversation with the city officials and the officials, whether they be the fire department, highway patrol, sheriff's department, across the board. This is an opportunity for us to have this two-way dialogue. But if you have a question or an emergency or you need additional information, call our hotline number. The number is on the website. We also have a local assistance center operating in Malibu, and we understand the difficulty of going to the West Side Pavilion for people. If you can call the hotline number, we can direct you whether the local assistance center can help you or to go to the West Side Pavilion. Now, one of the big questions is not just repopulating Malibu, but how do you get down PCH Highway? That is going to be a long time coming. I made a tour of the city this afternoon just to see where the conditions were on PCH. I can tell you the roadway is in place, but the amount of work that's taking place on all sides of the roadway are going to preclude us from having that open within days. It's going to be perhaps weeks. I don't have a good date for you. I'm speculating even at this. The amount of work that's being done by the utilities people, they've got poles going in place, wires are being strung, not to mention debris removal on the sides of the roads. The damage from Topanga to Carbon Mesa is extensive. There is going to be a lot of debris removal. It's going to take time. It's going to need access to get in there to do it. We also have concerns about being prepared if it's going to be a rainstorm. The hillsides in Malibu are extremely burned. For the firefighters, they know that there's a glaze that goes on heavily burned soil, and if we have a rainstorm, this is going to be almost catastrophic if we're not prepared for it. A lot of the work that's being done right now in the recovery portion is to get ready for rain, not just to remove the debris. And as far as the restarting of rebuilding, we already have a team put together to start the rebuilding process. We hopefully will be able to give you some details on Tuesday night about how that's going to operate, but we're relying heavily upon the governor's recent statement about having rebuilds accelerated, especially as they are affected by the Coastal Commission requirements and environmental requirements. And a rebuild, by the way, is the existing property plus up to 10%. You'll see additional information as we get closer to Tuesday. But we're working diligently on this. Your city staff has been active from the moment this started. And I want to thank not just the firefighters, the Sheriff's Department, the Highway Patrol, the National Guard, but I also want to thank the volunteers that we have in the city of Malibu, the Community Brigade, which helped fight the fire during its initial start and is working even today, our volunteers on patrol, as well as our nonprofits. You have come together to make Malibu exactly the reason why we live there. It's a small community, it's friends with neighbors, neighbors to neighborhoods, and now we have this larger expansion of neighborhoods, which is our communities of the Palisades and beyond. Thank you all for listening to me. I want you to know the City of Malibu staff is here for not just the residents, but also our business owners that have got their businesses shut down. I'm in conversation already with state assembly members and state senate people to see what we can do to assist the businesses. We are trying diligently to get Malibu reopened again and on normal footing and get you into your homes that have been burned out as fast as we can. It's not going to be quick. It's not going to be easy. We're going to do everything we can and move it along. All I can do is promise you our best efforts, and all of us are going to be here to support you, no matter whether you've got your home, your business at loss, or you're just having to suffer until we can get things back to normal to allow you to actually have a life in Malibu. Thank you.
That concludes our community meeting. Thank you so much for joining us. A reminder that every evening at 6:30 we have a virtual community meeting. Please jump on with us every evening tomorrow and through the weekend, a virtual community meeting at 6:30. The link can be found at the CAL FIRE incidents page, fire.ca.gov, and click on Palisades Fire. You'll find the link there along with a lot of great other information. Thank you. Have a great night.
I'm Mark Pastrella, Director of Los Angeles County Public Works, with a message for residents affected by the devastating fires across Los Angeles County. For those of you who are still evacuated, I am so sorry for your loss and for your trouble during these times. It must be difficult to be displaced from your homes, and our hearts are with you during this challenging time. Rebuilding after a wildfire takes time, careful planning, and collaboration. My message to you from the state and local agencies involved in the recovery process is, you are not alone. I know you're eager to return to your homes and neighborhoods. We ask for your patience as affected roads and utilities are assessed and the safety of homes and other structures is determined. Once that work has been done, property owners will be allowed to return. I strongly urge you not to attempt to remove hazardous fire debris yourself. Post-fire debris can contain toxic materials, including asbestos, lead, mercury, and other chemicals that are released when structures burn. These materials pose serious health risk if handled improperly or inhaled. So take extra precautions and make sure you use the proper protective equipment, including goggles, gloves, and a mask, specifically an N95 mask. The next stage is the removal of fire debris, which is a multi-step process. The first step is hazardous materials assessment. This process includes fire inspectors going property by property to provide the necessary clearances for safe removal of fire debris. It's a service provided at no cost to property owners and an essential step before actual debris removal begins. Step 2 is a safe debris removal. The county will launch a debris removal program to assist property owners in safely removing debris. Detailed information about this program will be available soon. After debris removal is complete, the rebuilding process can begin. LA County is dedicated to streamlining permitting and building processes to help you rebuild your homes and communities. I know this process can feel overwhelming, but together we will rebuild stronger and safer communities in LA County. Visit recovery.lacounty.gov for ongoing updates and guidance.
We know that the Eaton Fire